Mobile phones have been getting bigger and bigger as the generations go by, and this is another perfect example of just how large phones are becoming and how close they are to becoming full-fledged tablets in your pocket, literally. This ASUS Zenfone 3 Ultra here has a 6.8-inch screen, and I would consider that almost a tablet because 7 inches is a tablet, and this isn't that far off. But you can put this one here in your pocket. Well, that is if you have extra large pockets. The phone has a premium build to it. You can see it has a unibody alloy housing that ASUS claim does not have any antenna lines, and in fact is the first mobile in the world to have none. Yes and no, there are some little lines along here that you can see, one there and two at the top. Those are antenna lines, so correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it is completely free of them there. So on the right hand side there's a power on button. You'll notice that there is no volume up and down rocker here. Instead, we have two SIM trays. Now, they both support nano SIMs, or the secondary tray here can support microSD cards up to 200 gigabytes. On the back, you'll find the volume rocker. A little awkward to get to. In hand, feels good, and you can access that power on, and the fingerprint scanner at the front works flawlessly. But access to the volume up and down when in call is possible, but you have to shimmy around with your fingers a little bit, and it feels awkward and not really that nice. So the camera on the back, ASUS claim to be very premium. This has a 23 megapixel Sony 4x3 sensor in there, and it has autofocused phase detection, autofocused assist, and IR for distance calculation. It also has a color correction sensor on there to try and get those colors spot on. Along the top we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, secondary mic. On the bottom there are two loudspeakers which do sound quite decent. I will have a sample of that coming up. The mic there for voice calls, and a USB Type-C port that does support display out, which is one of the few mobiles that do at the moment. On the front we have an 8 megapixel selfie cam, earphone piece, and the ambient light sensor. And we do have on board a Snapdragon 652. Now that can clock up to 1.8 gigahertz. We have 4 gigabytes of RAM and a 64 gigabyte internal storage there. So spec-wise, quite decent. Not bad at all, seems to cover most areas, apart from it does lack NFC, and we do not have wireless charging. Not in this price range, at least. With a maximum brightness of 452 lumens, the screen is perfectly viewable here in direct sunlight. The 1080p IPS panel offers good colors, not punchy colors like a Super AMOLED display from Samsung or you see in other brands, but I find them to be good. Now you can tweak and adjust the colors to your own personal preference. You're able to tweak the warmness, or you like a cooler white, then you're able to do that with the splendid application that they do include there. So just how big is it? Here's a little size comparison. So we have the Samsung Galaxy Ace with a 3.5-inch screen, which looks very tiny nowadays. And here we have the Samsung Galaxy Edge S6 with a 5.1-inch screen, the Mi Max, which has a 6.44-inch screen, and then finally the 6.8-inch screen of the Zenfone 3 Ultra. There's a dual SIM setup here, so you can have dual 4G nano SIMs. So nano SIM there at the top, a second nano SIM in the second tray, or a microSD card. Here I have a 128 gigabyte microSD card in there, and that works without any problems. ASUS claim that you can use up to 200 gigabyte ones. So it's based on Android 6.0.1 with the Zen 3 UI, which is ASUS's own custom skin on top of it, and it is fast and fluid. I haven't had any lags on there. Now, one thing I did not like about it, when you first get the mobile phone and start to set it up, first off, you have to go through a lot of setup screens. Secondly, there is so much bloat on there, and once you connect to the internet, the phone will automatically start and suggest applications for you to download. And a lot of that is ASUS's own social media applications that you probably wouldn't even want to use anyway. But they force that upon us, and it is quite annoying. And in the past, I mean, I had the Zenfone 2, and it had that much bloat on there that I just looked at it and sent it back. This is almost as bad. Now, they have their own few little tweaks on here. There's lots of things that you can tweak and customize. And there's Zen Motion, so you've got gesture support. You've got the touch gestures where you can double tap the screen to wake. That does work. So copying off that LG G2, I think it was, that brought that in with the tap to wake feature there. You can also draw gestures on the screen to quickly launch applications like the camera there. And that works just fine. So the speed of the UI, it's fluid. I haven't had any stutter or lag. I haven't had any problems or issues with it It works, it's functional. Is it the best UI around? Probably not, but I think most people can be okay with it, should be okay with it. You can of course install your own UI. You can go along with something like Apex or Nova Launcher if you're not happy with it. And luckily, a good 95% or so of those bloatware applications can be uninstalled or disabled. Having such a large screen makes typing a breeze, really. We get the numerical keys at the top there, which is good. 5 rows there, and it's very easy to type on. I found that I don't get hardly any typos, not nearly as many as I do on smaller, say 5-inch devices. I don't have particularly large hands either, and normally I just do thumb typing. My particular model here has 4 GB of RAM, so that's quite a healthy amount there. The other version, the one that has the 32 GB of storage, has 3 GB, which is still ample really for running Android, and you can do a lot of multitasking. Here I have quite a few apps open there, and everything's quite fast swapping between them. I haven't noticed any real stutter or lag or anything. It seems to perform quite well. So people that do like to do a bit of heavy multitasking, they shouldn't have an issue here with this mobile. So just to quickly show you, I'm running Chrome here on the Mi Max, and this of course is the Zenfone 3 Ultra. Now you can see there's a DPI scaling difference. Just look at the menus, how much space it takes up on the Mi Max, and I think it's more suited and perfectly scaled really on the Zenfone 3 Ultra. Now the performance, I'm browsing here with the Zen 3 Ultra, is very good. The screen is really accurate. I have no complaints. It's super smooth in Chrome. And I'll just show you an embedded YouTube clip here just to show you how that runs. So here's the unboxing of this actual phone now that I'm reviewing, and just show you how that runs. And then we have the packaging. So very plain looking kind of packaging, black. And because the speakers sound really good, it is quite a immersive device with the screen and everything. It just offers a very rounded package as if you're using a tablet. And to quickly go through some benchmarks that I did run on the device. So here is the 4G speeds that I got. Not too bad at all. I didn't find I had any issues with the 4G coverage or speeds. Here's the Geekbench 3 score. And 226.2. Now the internal storage speeds, it gets a read of 205 and writes of 122. That isn't too bad. Quite fast. The Ice Storm score maxed out, Ice Storm Unlimited, and finally Slingshot ES 3.0. The GPS on the Zenfone 3 works really well. I've had no problems getting a lock. Lock time is very quick and only literally takes a matter of seconds. And driving around in my car, I never lost the position at all. So how's the battery life? So it's got a 4,600 milliamp hour battery, which is quite a large one. And I managed to get 9 hours and 1 minute from the PC Mark test with the display correctly calibrated to 200 nits. Now the Mi Max got 13 hours and 10 minutes. So this is quite a bit behind, and I find the battery life to be a little bit disappointing here. And the screen on time you're able to achieve is around about 8 hours. There I got 7 hours and 48 minutes, but you can get approximately 8 hours and 10 minutes out of it. Now charge times, you can get to 60% in 45 minutes, which is really fast, and you can fully charge from about 3% battery in just under 2 hours. Now audio quality. ASUS claimed that it has dual 5-magnet speakers and that they sound pretty good. So let's have a listen to them. I'm using a different microphone here to have a listen. Alright, you can see that they sound really loud, and they're probably actually some of the better speakers I have heard on a mobile phone. These beat actually even tablet speakers. They are really good, and the sound quality that comes out of the 3.5mm jack, I've used some Sennheiser CX600s, I think they are, and it sounds really good. The included headphones also do not sound too bad. Now they have some surround 7.1 marketing hype behind them. Honestly, I don't really see too much of a difference there. I think it's just marketing really. Now the camera application will show you all the settings. We've got a lot of them here that we can change and tweak. ISO goes all the way up to 3200. Optimization, you can either leave that on or off. Camera resolution by default is set to only 16 megapixels, even though it supports right up to 23. We do have the optical stabilization, smart autofocus can also be tweaked. Literally everything you can think of there, you're allowed to change. Video quality preference between quality or performance. Performance, I think we'll try and always keep the frame rate right up there. And camera modes, there are a lot. And we do have the super resolution that they have marketed that can take a 96 megapixel photo. And I found that, yes, it does capture more detail, but there's a little bit of a gimmick there and not really that much better than a 23 megapixel photo from the camera. And also show you that you can swap over into manual. We're able to adjust everything: exposure, white balance, shutter times. Highest setting being 32 seconds, so you can get those streaking tail lights for night shots. Manual focus settings here is, so the shutter speed taking photos is really quick most of the time. Sometimes when you're in lower light settings or you have the flash enabled, it can be a little slow, resulting in a blurred photo there, but it really happens, but it has occasionally happened to me there. You can also hold down, tweak and adjust. You can lock the auto focus white balance, and then you can tweak the exposure to your liking. Of course, you can go back into the manual mode there. So most of the time the automatic setting does take a good photo. I'll show you some examples here. So that's a 23 megapixel photo, and when you have a look at the 16 megapixel photo here, I find that that actually looks a little better, which is no doubt why they just left it on 16 megapixels the setting. Now low light, you'll see low light samples right here. Can take a few good clips, good photos, I should say. Really have no complaints with the camera. It does take some good images. And here is a front-facing sample. The depth of field setting allows you to blur out the background there quite nicely. And lastly, here's a 4K clip. So let's have a look now at how the autofocus works. See, it's having a little bit of trouble there focusing on this plant. Now, can it play all the latest games? I will test out some demanding games here, but I do find that the Adreno 510 GPU is perfectly matched to a 1080p screen. Now, if it had a 1440p screen, that would probably be too demanding and we could get some slowdown. But as you see now, it can play every single game out there perfectly fine with very fluid frame rates. This game is Vainglory. Asphalt 8 Airborne. And even a quick look at a PlayStation Portable emulator. So what about thermals? After a good gaming session of about half an hour, I noticed that it got up to about 35 degrees surface temperatures. But where it does get quite warm, and ASUS do actually warn you about this, when fast charging, it does get quite hot to the touch. You can see here at the moment, it's around 38 degrees. I have seen it get up to about 40 degrees. The Type-C port does support OTG, but you're going to need an adapter for that to work. But they're relatively cheap and easy to find. And the Type-C port will also support display out. You can charge at the same time if you use the correct adapter. Now, I did have some problems with getting the HDMI out to work on my monitor. I think it had something to do with HDCP issues, but it worked fine on my LG TV. One of the other features the phone has, because it has such a large battery, is you're able to put it into what's called reverse charging mode, so it will charge other devices. Now, you don't have any adapters included, but if you do get one, then you can plug in other mobile phones, for example, my Mi Max here, connect that in, and you will be able to charge that other device. You can see now it is charging, and if you do get yourself a Type-C to Type-C cable, then you could charge other Type-C devices without the need of any adapters. So to recap here, I think this is a great media-focused mobile phone, perfect for playing games, viewing the web, watching movies, taking photos as well with that 23 megapixel camera. It can take a decent snap and is probably one of the better cameras you'll find on a large mobile phone. And the video quality is good, but there is an issue with the continual autofocus sometimes there in the video. It has problems getting a lock, and the battery life, found that to be disappointing compared to competitors. The other thing too is that ASUS, they really just do cram too much bloatware on this mobile phone. I do like the screen, it's a nice screen I've got in there, and very good sound quality too. Thank you for watching this review. Hopefully I will see you back in the channel soon.